Hi, my name is Jay, and this is Road to Click. First, I really have to explain what is Click. Click is a television series that I have been writing for the past 12 years. It is a sitcom based around four 20-something-year-olds who are trying to navigate their lives. The twist is that the main character is non-binary. This is something that is very close to my heart as someone who is openly non-binary. I am gender non-binary, gender non-conformist, gender capitalist, whatever you want to call it. Let me explain what that means. I don't conform to either male or female genders. I do not feel like there is enough representation for the non-binary community on television, if any at all. There might be a few characters here and there on television that are in the background that are non-binary, but I want a show that focuses on the truth about what it's like to be non-binary. So that's a quick rundown of what the show's going to be about. Now let me explain what this small documentary video series I'm doing is going to be about. So as a young, aspiring showrunner, I'm trying to find all the information I can find about how to make a TV show, especially when you don't have the backing of a network. But everything I found on the internet doesn't actually help with that. So I want this series to be a how-to get a TV show made from nothing. Also, let's just say I've been working on this project for a long time. Hey, it's Jay, and as some of you may or may not know, I am currently working on my TV pilot. I want to shoot a television pilot. Television! So that's happening. I'm going to take you through the auditioning process. I'm going to take you through the finding crew. I'm going to take you through talking to networks. I'm going to take you through all the experiences that I'm going to be going through while making this series. This is just part one in a long series about how to make a television series come into reality. But I needed to first explain to you guys what I want to do and who I am and how long I've been doing this. So here are my credentials. I graduated from the New York Film Academy in Burbank. I have shot 2 feature films, one of which was a documentary.
Life. What's the point? Money? Success? Power?
And I've also shot a whole web series. But I don't know, I really want to just focus on me. Because I'm a strong, independent woman. And I'm sick and tired of my life being defined by freaking Key Largo. I've also shot 2 different versions of the Click television pilot.
Okay, so I think Justin might have a thing for Christy.
Just because I dress in drag doesn't mean I'm like a girl.
I just meant you got girls, how they think in jump.
I've learned a lot from those 2 pilots. And as I move into the 3rd and final pilot, the actual pilot, the real pilot, I want to take you guys along for the journey. This concludes the first episode of Road to Click. Thank you guys so much for watching. This show will be leading up to when the show is actually on the air. So I'm going to be taking you through the audition process, through the paperwork process, through getting stuff filmed, getting crew together. And if you guys are interested in how a television show is actually made from the ground floor all the way up, keep following, because I'm going to go all the way with this thing and I want you guys to come along with me. So thank you for watching, and remember, today's not like yesterday. In today's episode, I am talking all about the audition process for Click. So up to this point, I've shot 2 different pilots for Click. And in those 2 pilots, I've had to do 2 separate auditions. And with those 2 different pilots that I've already shot before, I've learned a lot about the auditioning process. And I've learned a lot about what to do and what not to do. So now that I'm going for my 3rd try at this TV pilot, I want to make sure I get the auditioning done right. One of the bigger mistakes I've made in my auditioning process is only casting friends. And it's great to support your friends, but sometimes there's better talent out there that you don't know yet. In this first audition here, I only auditioned my friends. I sent out a mass text to all the people I knew and said, hey, I'm holding auditions at this random place. Can you come help out, show up, be a part of this? And they did. And I love them for doing that and trying to help. But the more I grow and the more I learn from that, that isn't the way to go. Because no matter what, they're always going to look at me as their friend, and they're doing it because they support me, not because they believe in the project, not because they want to do it. They're doing it as a favor, which in the long run is not the proper way to cast something. Something I learned from the second attempt at auditioning Click was that you really need time to audition people. you really need a long, extensive run. You cannot be rushed, because these are very important characters that are going to be around, hopefully, for a very long time. So I can't just rush myself. That's probably why the audition episode of the documentary series is going to be in the beginning of the series, because I need to constantly be thinking about auditioning people and casting people, and constantly be thinking about who the cast is going to be, because this is not something that can be rushed. Something I did do with the second auditions that I'm really proud of is pushing the actors. Because the first time around, I was just so happy that they were there and doing me the favor that I let them coast by because they were my friends. The second time around, I did get a little better in the respect of forcing an actor to push themselves in the audition, making sure that they're going to be able to pull off this role every turn and every facet I need them to do. It's great to talk about what I've done in the past, but that's not what this documentary series is about. It's what am I going to do in this coming year and this time of my life. How am I going to start casting this project? What am I going to do to make it a reality? So the normal procedure is you either have funding or some sort of network behind you, and then you start doing the casting, or you go to a network and you say, here's who's already attached. But I do not have a network behind me yet. So I'm going to take the route of getting some good talent behind me, so when I go talk to networks about getting the show on the air, they'll already know that I have talent attached. That's good quality and good caliber of talent. But how do I go about doing that? How do I go about contacting people who are real SAG actors without having a official project to put them on? I'm gonna have to take some unorthodox route. There's one actress in particular that I follow on TikTok who I really want to be on the show to play the character of Madison when she was younger. So I'm on TikTok and I've had a few videos on there that have gotten an okay amount of views. So I'm going to take the unorthodox route of posting a video there, reaching out to her. Not just an email, not just a message, an actual video of my face saying that I want to work with her. Okay, I got a question. Why does this lovely woman not have her own show yet? She's a phenomenal actress. Look at her go. And she is slaying it. She's done so many amazing guest spots and side characters, but nobody's given her own show yet. I have questions and a bone to pick, okay? Also, on a side note, Sammy, if you see this, I'm a young showrunner who's trying to write a TV show sitcom, and I want you to play one of my lead female characters. So if you're interested, hit me up, because, it'd be cool. And I'll admit, this is a very unorthodox way to do it. And it might be a little strange, but it's the resources I have right now at my level of showrunning that I can use. So I'm going to use every possible way that I know to get a hold of the actors I want to work with. So that was one of the first techniques that I'm going to use to meet the actors that I need to work with for Click. Obviously, I couldn't fit all of the auditioning information in this one episode, so the auditioning process will be a prolonged part of the series, as it always should be. It's a TV series. I'm not just casting for a movie that will be done in a couple months. This is a show that's going to have a long run. So I will constantly be working on auditioning for a good majority of my career. So with that being said, this was the first part of the auditioning process for this documentary series. Hi, I'm Jay, and this is Road to Click. So today is a work day. It is all business, all work, pretty much all the legwork that goes into pre-production for a show. I want to teach you guys how to do a showrunner's Bible. So I personally always start my project off with a 3-ring binder. So right here is my 3-ring binder for my show Bible for Click. This is just a regular binder you can buy at the store. I put a picture on the front just to make sure it's different from my other show Bibles, because this is my baby. So a quick rundown about what a show Bible is. Essentially, it's a giant Bible, giant book, giant file of all the information you need to make your show. And it gets bigger and bigger as you go, so that's why I like to use my 3-ring binder. It just allows me to continue on with the Bible. And the idea is that you can hand it to any member of your team and they would completely understand your vision 100%. So it's very important to both film, television, whatever film project you're doing to have a show Bible or a movie Bible, whatever you want to call it, because it essentially helps your whole team understand what's going on in your head without you having to constantly reiterate it to them. So I'm going to show you guys really quickly what I've done so far. So I personally put my log line as my first page, mainly because if I'm in a meeting or something and I want to have it right that, the log line right there so I can just, knock it out real quick. Second page is my director's statement. This is important so you never forget why you're doing what you're doing. I was taught about that one in film school, is that it's really important to have a statement from the director before you start the project, so you always have a clear idea of what you were doing when you started the project. This is my document of registration with the Writers Guild. It is not something you have to have in your Writer's Bible, but I like to keep it there so I know where it is. So one of the more important parts to have in your show Bible is your character list, so you know who you are casting, and so on, blah, blah, blah. I personally keep all of my files in these clear, transparent plastic sheets so that I can remove the pages and not have to poke holes in them or ruin the original documents. So essentially I can just pull it out whenever I need and I can fix whatever I need to fix. So my next page is character descriptions. This is important, especially for casting, so we know what we're looking for, what kind of character they are. And it's good to just have in the book. I hope you guys understand that I'm just showing you a little bit of the Bible. I'm not going in depth or in detail because this is essentially my whole project laid out for anyone to read. So it is kind of private and kind of personal, but I'm just going to show you just the basics of what I put in it, not like actual detail. So the next part is where I would put headshots if I had any, but I don't have anybody officially casted yet, so I'm not putting headshots in it. So like I said, a few drawings here and there of what the characters are supposed to look like and what I want them to look like. So that's where the next page would be where I put headshots normally for who the characters are, but I don't have those yet. The next part is where I keep like the looks and fashion and styles of the characters. You might not have to do this for like an official thing. I like to do it because fashion is a huge part of the show, and I'm have history in art direction and like a background in clothes, so it is important for me to have these there. This is one of the characters' outfits. I got a little fabric samples of what kind of fabrics I would like to use and stuff like that. I did a little fashion page for every single character on the show, well, at least the main characters, so that way like my wardrobe department will instantly know what I'm looking for when I'm looking for it. Next page is a location report. This is important for the location scout, for when we're just looking for sets, when we're building sets, we'll know exactly what we need. I also have a few drawings I've done of what I want the houses to look like, just so we can start actually looking for the houses. The next page is for when I'm actually pitching the show, is the next section of the Bible. Essentially, what is seasons 1's arc gonna be? What is the rest of the series arcs gonna be? What are the breakdowns of what each episode's gonna be like in the season? So essentially, just I would have one page sheet of all of seasons 1's arc, like internal arc, emotional arc, physical arc, just a quick rundown. And then like next, I think they normally say 5 seasons planned out for when you pitch something. So I then have a page for each season. So season 2's arc, season 3's arc, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Then we get into the actual script. This is the important part. This is the bulk of the Bible. It's going to be the actual script. This is the script I'm going to be writing on. This is going to have all my director's notes, my producing notes, and all of my scene numbers and my essentially shot list. Then this is something I personally did for when I actually need to pitch the show. After the first pilot episode script, I have a 1-page breakdown of each episode for the rest of season 1. So when I do bring it in, I have not just ideas for the episodes, but pretty much a quick synopsis of what the rest of the season is going to look like. Then I have a page for formatting, essentially, how many characters, what channel I'm aiming for, what time slot, who my target audience is, all that good stuff. This is important, especially when you're going to networks. Okay, so here are my actor release forms. This is just like a quick kind of sign off for an actor. Most of them, realistically, would use this probably for extras or just side characters. This would not, I don't know if this really consists of being a real contract, especially for a long-term thing, but this is just something I keep in my book just in case, just kind of says like they, are consenting to whatever we're filming. Then I got this one. It's a crew deal memo. It's for if, you're trying to get some crew on board or something and you just need a quick sign off to say what they're, expecting from all this, and it's just good to have so that people know what their jobs are, know how much they're getting paid, know how much they're not getting paid, whatever. Then right here I have some blank storyboards. That I'm gonna do a whole episode about storyboards. I personally struggle with storyboards because I am an artist and I like to draw, and I find it really annoying to just do the stick figures, so I have a special plan for this. Alright, so that was my quick rundown about how to create a Showrunner Bible. Obviously, there's so much more detail that goes into this, but like I said, quick rundown. If you guys want to know more about this, let me know. I'm going to be constantly working on the Showrunner Bible, so it'll be coming up throughout the rest of this little mini-series, and I'm going to just keep showing you guys what's going on, and it's just a very important part of the process. So thank you guys for watching, and this has been Road to Click. And remember, today is not like yesterday. Bye.
Hi, I'm Jay and this is Road to Click. Today I'm going to teach you how to line a script. Lining a script is super important, especially when you're working on a very big project. Essentially, this is where we start creating our shot list.
This is important as a director, as you know, for the whole team needs to see this so they know where we're at, what scene we're shooting, what we're doing. So it's very important, and it's really not difficult. It just sounds a lot more complicated than it is. Okay, so first we're going to find what scene we're on and what scene we need to line and what scene we need to break down. I have already done some of the script, and we are on scene 9. Essentially, right where the information is on the script, you'll have your scene numbers. If you don't automatically have it when you use Final Draft or whatever screenwriting program you have, it's important to just go through each scene and count down. Essentially, just count each scene heading. And right now I'm on 9. Okay, I do use a pencil for this, not a pen, because you will need to erase sometimes. You will need to subtract some stuff from what you're writing. So I just like to use a pencil with an eraser. You know, very basic, normal, everyday thing. Number 2 pencil. Yeah, it's number 2. And so just get a pencil. Also, I use regular just drawing paper, regular printing paper. Essentially, I'm going to write all the shot lists on this just by hand, and then I'm going to go back and retype it later. I just find it much easier to do it on paper than typing it up right out, as I go. If you're, in a hurry, I guess you could just have a laptop on the side. Space-wise, I find it easier. So here's where we start off. Essentially, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little bracket from here all the way down. This scene does continue, so I am going to finish it off with an arrow, and then that's going to be my first wide shot. So I'm going to number that as 9A. Then I'm going to go over here to my other piece of paper. I'm going to write down, it's hard to write this. I'm going to write 9A wide shot. And then essentially we're going to go through and just read the scene, and we're going to bracket off what part, we want a medium here. We're going to median out there, and then that would be 9B, 9C, and so on. So essentially we end up with something looking kind of like this, just following the whole, the whole scene on the side with our numbering of 9A, 9B, 9C, and so on and so forth. Then correspondingly on the shot list, it'll correspond with what the shot means, what 9A is, what 9B is, what 9C is. I do put a little description, 9A is a wide shot of Jay entering the office, 9B is a medium, and so on and so forth. So the idea is to have the script lined, so there's physical lines on the script, and then they'll correspond to the official shot list, which I will type up and look nicer, but right now just scribbling it down. So that was a quick rundown of lining a script and creating your shot list. This is very important in any kind of film project. It's the way you set it up, it's the way it's got to be. It's much easier, much faster, and essentially it just gets the idea across of what you're thinking in your head. Also, if you do the shot list right and you put enough description and enough concept into each of the shots, as you write it down, it can essentially become like a script to another department, so they don't have to be consulting the physical paper script with all the lines. It is essentially just a breakdown for the camera department, the lighting department. It becomes a very quick understanding of the overall script without them having to worry about the lines. So it's much more condensed and easier for other departments to read that aren't necessarily about lines and story, but are more about the actual camera angles, a lot more of the technical side of it. So it becomes a much easier
way to show them what you're talking about. So they don't have to read 40 to 50 pages of script. They can just read a quick shot list and have a quick idea of what's going on. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions about lining scripts, leave me a comment. I would love to try to help. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Remember, today is not like yesterday. Bye!
Hi, it's Jay, like the letter, and this is Road to Click. I believe this is part 4. I don't think I've had the best history of actually recognizing which is part 1, 2, 3, and 4, but I'm pretty sure this is part 4. So welcome back to Road to Click. It's been a hot second since I've done one of these videos. Mainly because last time I was talking about Click, it was right before the pandemic, and we were all very much in a different place than we are now. But luckily, I'm back doing more Road to Click stuff. Since we did the last video we were talking about how I was going to start doing castings and producing and working on a live action show. But then, like I said, the pandemic hit, and everything changed. We can all admit that everything drastically changed. So I wasn't giving up on the show. So since then, I did animate a full season of my TV show Click. We did the whole first season animated, and I really did love it. It turned out really good, and people really liked it and were really receiving it well. And so that's how we first did it. We did the animated Click. So the last video I said we did 2 pilots. Now I've done 3. And I said last time that was going to be the last one. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think we are going to be working on another one now. Because as we were heading into season 2, we had some losses in my family, which is very hard because my mom, she played the character of April on my show in the animated series, and she passed away because of COVID. And so we had to pivot the series a little bit. I tried doing some recastings. Other stuff came up, other cast members dropped out, and it stopped feeling like the same show. It stopped feeling fun to do the animated series. So essentially I had to slow down a little bit. My animated cast was amazing. They all just were phenomenal, but sadly we had to put a stop to the animated series. Like I said, I ran out of the energy and the inspiration to do that animated series. But then my best friend and I were talking about it. She's an actress also, and she brought up a really good point that I really should start focusing on maybe playing the lead character, because the lead character is non-binary, and up to that point I'd only been trying to cast people who weren't non-binary. And she brought up a really good point of, why don't you play your lead? You are the character. It's based off of you. Be Jay. You are Jay. Be Jay. So we started reworking the pilot again. Now for me and her are going to be playing the leads. I will be playing the character that is based off of me, because it is my own experience. It is my own story. And so we are trying to work on yet another pilot. Hopefully this time will be the one. I think that's life. If anything, it just shows you got to roll with the punches, and like you have to really, stick with it, and you can't just give up on stuff, because life does get hard. And so that's what I'm at right now. Is we are working towards getting the show up and running. That's why I think I'm doing this, is because I feel like I haven't talked to anybody about it in a while. I haven't brought it up. I haven't done anything about it. It's been a lot of, sitting in my room thinking about ideas. And I really want to start getting it back out there. So I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I guess we're going to start working towards getting the show up and running again. Last night I did resubmit one of the original live action pilots I did. We submitted that to some film festivals. You can tell I used to be a film student, because my natural response when I don't know what to do is to submit to film festivals. So we did that. And I'm probably going to submit the animated pilot, because the animated pilot's really good. It's the exact story I want to tell, but it's a cartoon. So I'm probably going to submit that too, because the script is still pretty solid from that. the script's still the script I want to tell. So yeah, but I think it's going to be good for me playing my own truth and playing my own storyline essentially, because like I am non-binary, and there really isn't the right representation for us right now. Because like I don't know about you guys, but there just hasn't been a lot of positive representation for non-binary people, and I feel like I really am the right person to tell the story because it's my story. So yeah, if you guys are interested in following up with this project, stay tuned. Hopefully I'll do more of these Road to Clicks so we can discuss what's going on, and hopefully I have more to talk about. But I just really felt like getting that off my chest about what we're doing right now. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and follow and all that good stuff that we have to say to get people to follow us. But as usual, today is not like yesterday. That's for sure.
Hi, I'm Jay, and this is Road to Click, part whatever. So I want to talk to you guys, because I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in a little while about what's going on with the show. So we are back at it again. It's still kind of the holidays, but we're still at it. We recently just rewrote the pilot again, but this time it's like actually really good. I say that a lot, but this time I really believe this is the one. This one we've really kind of got to the core of the story and really got down to what's going on with the actual story, and we're really focusing on some like character beats instead of just overall like comedy tropes. And I think this one's really going to be okay. So like I rewrote the script, and let me just show it to you in the actual binder. Okay, here's our handy dandy show Bible, which I know I've shown you guys before, and I've rewritten the script. We have so much new content. The script is similar to the original story, but it's completely brand new story altogether almost. It's similar, but there's so much new stuff. Also, I got to page 60. The original script was about 43 to 45 pages. If you don't know a lot about scripts or how they break down, normally each page it's supposed to represent about a minute or so. And so I was always kind of like 43 to 45 was good for like network television with ads and such. But I had so much content I had to put into the script, that just so many jokes, that it's up to 60 pages. It originally was 65, almost 70, but I cut it down 10 pages. So I feel like 60 was the closest cutoff I could get to before I was getting a little out of hand and a little much. So we're up to about 60 pages. So that will be about, in theory, we'll be filming about 60 minutes worth of stuff, and really depending on if we go for network television or a streaming service. Streaming service would be probably safer for the 60 minutes of content, but if we're going for a TV like network or something, I will have to cut down probably about 15 minutes. So essentially we'll be filming probably about 60 pages or 60 minutes, and might have to edit it down, but that'll be editing Jay's problem, which I'll probably do a video in however many years or however many months when we finally do start filming this or editing this, whatever it is, and I'll do the same thing. Go, why did I shoot so much? I should have, this will be the moment I look back and go, I should have stopped then, but I'm not. So anyway, we were up to 60 pages. We did do a video about lining scripts before. I'm up to 42 scenes for this version of the script, and I will say this time around, I did line the whole script in one day, and I was super proud of that. It normally takes me a few days to line a script. I just sat down in like one sitting and just lined 60 pages. That was insane. Hurt my hands. That's the hardest part when you line scripts. Most of the time you do it with like a pencil or something, and that, it hurts sometimes. I've been an artist for most of my life, and I've never got around how pencils cannot hurt your hand, like how pencils can hurt your hand so much. I can't figure out how not to hurt them. I tried doing the holding the pencil different even, and it wasn't working. It wasn't the vibe. With the whole rewrite and everything and relining, I did have to rewrite the shot list, which is always fun. But yeah, I did find this new program that's actually going to help me a lot with a proper shot list, because I've always done these like handwritten ones or just like hand typed up ones on random programs, and so I do now officially have a app that people are saying it might be the new industry standard for a shot list, so I'm going to try working on that next. But that's where I'm at right now. I just wanted to fill you guys in. I feel like I haven't done a update of what's going on with the show. So we're still doing it. I've just been rewriting. Now I'm getting out of my writer brain and heading into producer brain. So we'll be talking about budgeting soon and how those apps work and how like budgeting programs work in general and what that'll look like. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Road to Click. Thank you for being here. And